Tune into the show. She will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Yes, I'm here. Woohoo! There I am. How y'all doing on this fabulous Thursday? Hoping that you've had a productive day. And yeah, I really can't blame it on traffic, not from me working home, but it's good to be back here with you this evening. Hoping everything is going good. All my boards are set and maybe, yeah. I had a little glitch there, so my apologies. I don't know what's going on, but it's good to be back with you and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. Yes, it is good to be back with you. I am Sabrina for the first time, in case you're just tuning on or logging on to this podcast for the first time. I am Sabrina. We're broadcasting every Monday to Friday from 5 until 7 from the beautiful Cayman Islands. Yes, and compliments of the CMR TV platform. We bring it real here with civic education, thought-provoking discussions as well. And that's why our tagline is exactly as it says, Voices of the Islands and Conversations for the World. But I promised you yesterday that we were going to do, and please bear with me, we're going to have to do this over multiple shows because there is a number of legislations, regulations, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 pieces of regulations that we're going to go through literally line by line. So what I'm going to do, I know that those are doing what they have to do, putting up short blurbs and all that sort of stuff, but it's nothing beats just taking our time and going through it line by line because this is coming into effect on May 1st. I don't want to say March. Oh God, you can't get that out there. Let's get it right, girl. May 1st, which is just a couple of days away. So what we will be doing this evening is I'll be breaking down the Caymanian Protection Temporary and Work Permit and Business Visitors Permits Amendment Regulations 2026. And these changes are somewhat short, technical, and easy to miss if you do not realize what's going on. So that piece is a little shorter to bring to you. We'll be doing that at the top of the discussion. And then I will go into the Cayman Protection Fees Regulations, which is much, much bigger because they tie into our permit system and also into a wider immigration reform that was passed in 2025 and now definitely taking effect on May 1st. We have heard from the government that the next phase of immigration reform will be addressing the point system as it pertains to permanent residents for all of those persons who are here for 8 years or more and doing it based on the point system. That's the next project, if they've not already started working on it, that they will be doing. So we'll wait for that. But what this is now is addressing some of the increased fees. And there are other parts of this as well that we will go through. But this one, the second one that I want to start today, is quite big because that is the one that outlines all of the fees, the right to be Caymanian by entitlement, and that sort of stuff. Then there's another one as well. That is the Caymanian Protection Amendment Regulation, Caymanian Protection Amendment Regulations 2026. We'll go into that more than likely tomorrow. And then there's Caymanian Protection Arrangements of Convenience Regulations as well. So all of these we will go through one by one. And I promise you I would keep it layman, but I wanted to get the biggest one out of the way first and foremost, hence I'm doing it today. So if it's anything, we got a spillover tomorrow being open mic. With your permission, we can continue with this. And I want you to participate and engage, ask your questions if it's something that that you may have missed. You're welcome to contribute, ask your questions, so forth. But we're not at the stage or in this forum that specific questions, because there's what you realize with local immigration laws here, there's no one straight answer. Like, you can't ask me a direct question, how do I qualify, let's say, for descent? For the amount of questions that a true person knowing and understanding the requirements, that section of the law, let's say you have Caymanian heritage, that one would have to ask. It's not just that simple, just by asking that one question below. So if you want to DM afterwards how this could impact you, whether or not it's extending to great grand or whatever, I would prefer those specific questions, which I'll do my best to answer them off air, because there is a lot of other follow-up questions that may come, and in this forum is not the right place for it. That's the only reason why. But if you're following along and you'd like me to go over a specific section that I'm breaking down in layman's terms, those are the comments that I would more than be happy to try and address on the real time. But anything directly and personal, there is so much questions that would have to act so that you're making sure you're giving you the right answers in real time. This would not be the appropriate space, because not all the time you can just go and say, this is the answer for it. So I just ask you as well, once you comment or if you call, to remain on topic so that we don't miss the essence of the time in which we have allotted. And keep your comments in line with the discussion that we have. It just helps everybody, and we get through this even much quicker. So because of all of these pieces of legislation, and you've asked for it, is the only reason why I'm asking that. Outside of that, I'm fair game. But yes, we want to go into this, and with 25 years of, all of this building and the 20 years and all of the years of that the people were speaking about, we're going to just break it down for clarity, the Sabrina Speak style, which you have grown accustomed to come and appreciate. So yes, that's what we will be doing this evening. And please bear in mind that the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. And our number here is 345-936-8255. You can WhatsApp or you can join in on the conversation. Oh, and another bit of housekeeping. If you are calling straight, just direct, not through WhatsApp, and somebody else is trying to get in via WhatsApp, I cannot take your call. I cannot take a WhatsApp call if I'm on a straight line call. And like I said in earlier podcasts, I can't automatically add you if a WhatsApp call is coming in when I'm on another WhatsApp call. You message me and said, I would like to be merged, and then I add that individual. So just for full disclosure, that's what happens when I get straight calls directly, straight calls, versus those calls that come in whilst I'm on straight calls that they call via WhatsApp. So if you know how the system works, then you're not taking anything personal. Okay. So now that we get that out of the way, I want to say that we are happy to be proudly sponsored by Bridgepoint Immigration Consultant. Yes, Cayman, a new immigration consultancy is on the way, opening its doors in May. And it brings with it something our community has been asking for. That is experience you can trust. With 25 years of hands-on experience in local immigration trade and business license, the British Nationality Act, and a full spectrum of Cayman's immigration landscape, Bridgepoint is built on 3 pillars: honesty, integrity, and guidance you can rely on. So whether you're an employer navigating complex regulations, or a family planning your future, or even an individual trying to understand your next step, Bridgepoint Immigration Consulting will be there to help you, walk with you, hold your hand on your journey. Your bridge, your advocate, your guide, coming soon. Yes, yes, yes. Let's go straight into what's making our weather this afternoon right here on Sabrina Speaks. Compliments of our friends there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Isolated showers can be expected due to the remnants of a frontal system that is present across the Cayman area. Now, moderate winds and seas are also in the forecast, becoming generally slight by tomorrow. Radar imagery shows some showers in and around the Cayman area moving west. Tonight calls for partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall near the upper 70s, and winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. There will be a low tide at 10:05 this evening, a high tide at 4:56 tomorrow morning, and another low tide tomorrow at 11:25 a.m. Sun will set this evening at 6:44, and tomorrow sun will rise at 6:02. The outlook is calling for a chance of decrease in winds and seas into the weekend as the high pressure system weakens over the western Atlantic Ocean. There you have it. That's your weather forecast for this evening, heading into tomorrow as well. Let's turn our attention over to the news making Sabrina Speaks this evening, starting with local news. The Cayman Islands recorded 4,736 crimes in 2025, a 13% increase overall, but police says that the headline numbers mask major gains in the areas that matter most to public safety. Commissioner Kurt Walton, presenting the annual Crime and Traffic Statistics Report, highlighted a 16% drop in serious violence, a 31% fall in burglary, and fatal collisions cut nearly in half. Firearms crime also declined slightly, with 14 weapons recovered through proactive operations. While robbery and public order offenses rose, senior officers say the data shows targeted policing is delivering meaningful results. The Civil Service has introduced a new strategy to tackle the backlog of government minutes and strengthen how it responds to Auditor General and Public Accounts Committee recommendations. Deputy Governor Franz Manderson says that the plan will create a more efficient and transparent system, supported by a proposed digital tracking tool for monitoring progress across ministries. The strategy includes a formal policy for preparing government minutes and a coordinated approach to clearing outstanding recommendations. Chief officers will lead implementation, with the Office of the Deputy Governor providing oversight. Customs and Border Control has arrested a visitor who attempted to enter the Cayman Islands using a fraudulent passport. The man was detained at Owen Roberts International Airport on April 16th after officers identified irregularities during routine checks. He has since pled guilty to multiple offenses, including illegal entry and uttering a false document, and returns to court for sentencing on April 29th. A female resident was also arrested in connection with the case and released on bail. CBC says the incident underscores its zero-tolerance approach to protecting the integrity of Cayman's borders. In other local news this evening, the Cayman Islands government has announced a wide package of environmental and community measures to mark Earth Day, including the formal designation of 6 new protected areas across all 3 islands and the start of the process to protect Cayman Brac Lighthouse site. Now, the government will also host Cayman Forward in June, a national forum aimed at aligning development and environmental priorities. Drafting has also begun on a ban on select single-use plastic, and Cabinet has confirmed the long-term future for the Little Cayman airfield. Officials say that the initiatives reflect a coordinated push towards sustainability and long-term resilience. And in other local news, wrapping up the local segment, Sustainable Cayman is urging members of Parliament to carefully consider the proposed Development and Planning Amendment Bill, saying the changes could reduce public input and shift the balance of major planning decisions. In an open letter, the group warns that allowing certain development plan changes to proceed without the usual objection and inquiry process raises concern about oversight, environmental obligations, and long-term infrastructure pressures. They argue that Cayman needs stronger, more transparent planning and are calling on members of Parliament not to support the bill without full public consultation. Let's turn our attention to what's news making regional and international this evening. Starting out, Barbados and St. Lucia are moving to shore up their water systems as the 2026 dry season intensifies. Barbados has signed a US $80 million IDB agreement to modernize its ongoing network, where nearly half of all of the water is lost to leaks. St. Lucia has approved US $27.8 million in new borrowing, including a major upgrade to the John Compton Dam supply line after production in the South fell by 50%. Now, both projects aim warnings of long-term drought through June, and political debate over whether rising debt is the price of securing future water resilience. And in other news, we see coming out of Barbados this afternoon, a renewed United States travel advisory highlighting persistent crimes targeting tourists has prompted calls for continued vigilance in Barbados. Industry officials stress that the island remains at the lowest advisory level, meaning there's no immediate threat cause for alarm, but say the notice underscores the need for strong safety measures as visitor arrivals continue to grow. Now, government and tourism leaders maintain that Barbados remains a safe destination, while encouraging travelers and businesses to stay alert and follow standard precautions. Bermuda Fishermen Association says industrial scale foreign fishing, not local artisanal boats, is the real target of global no-fishing marine protected areas. Now, the group argues that Bermuda's small owner-operated fleet already fishes sustainably, and warns that the government's commitment to 20% fully protected waters under the 2019 MOU was made without local consultation. While supporting stronger management tools like recreational licensing, the association says the current proposal would place unnecessary pressure on the industry and is urging the government to restart talks with stakeholders and find a more collaborative path forward. We're seeing out of Trinidad and Tobago this evening, a Trinidad and Tobago national has been extradited to the United States to face charges of armed robbery and conspiracy 12 years after a warrant was first issued for his arrest in Maryland. Now, authorities say the fugitive was handed over to the U.S. Marshals following a lengthy legal process involving both jurisdictions. Now, the case stems from a 2014 robbery investigations, and officials say that the extradition underscores ongoing cooperation between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States in tackling serious cross-border crimes. Keeping our attention this evening, we see where President Donald Trump says that King Charles' upcoming state visit to the United States could absolutely help their relationships with the United Kingdom. Speaking to the BBC, the president praised the monarch as fantastic and said the visit would be a positive step as both countries look to strengthen diplomatic ties. The four-day program will include meetings at the White House and an address to Congress, marking the first U.S. state visit of King Charles's reign. Yes, and in more news making headlines this evening, let me grab the image. Please bear with me. This is when you got a lot to say. Guess what? We got some more. Just bear with me. I'm coming. This is when, I think Sandra was telling me about, I got onto her late this evening about how we produce. Yeah, it takes a lot behind the scenes. We don't have the luxury, but let's go because we're almost done. Yes. The Trump administration has moved FDA approved and state licensed medical marijuana products into Schedule 3. A category for substances considered to have moderate to low potential for abuse. Now, the shift means this regulated medical cannabis products are no longer treated as Schedule 1 drugs under federal law, easing restrictions on research, prescribing, and access. Now, analysts note that the changes does not legalize recreational marijuana federally, but it does open the door to expanded medical use, clearer regulations, and potential tax and banking reforms for licensed producers. And as we wrap out this before going into our global markets, guess what's happening? More than 200 tourists were trapped on a popular mountaintop trail in Rio de Janeiro after a shootout erupted between police and gang members. Now, the group had gathered at Morro dos Irmãos for sunrise when gunfire forced them to shelter in place for nearly 2 hours. Authorities later cleared the area, allowing everyone to descend safely. Now, no injuries were reported and several suspects were detained as part of police operation. Can you imagine what that must have been like? Yes. Turning to today's business market and closings for today. Markets ended lower today as rising geopolitical tensions and surging crude oil prices weighed in on investors' sentiment. In the United States, the Dow and S&P 500 each slipped 0.4%, while the Nasdaq fell nearly 1%, led by sharp decline in major software stocks. India also closed lower, with the Sensex down 852 points and the Nifty off 205. Gold and silver retreated as crude oil surged past US 105, with gold down by 0.57%, silver down by 2.72%. Now, several international exchanges, including Iceland and Istanbul, were closed for public holidays. That concludes, my friends, your evening news weather update as well. Let me get rid of these so we can go into our next segment. I see you. Please don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. It's good to have you all here with me this evening as we are about to go into our next segment and talk about, yes, immigration, what matters. But before doing so, you know how we do it here. We send happy birthday shout outs to everybody who's celebrating a birthday. Everyone who's celebrating a birthday here. And we definitely are going to send you lots of love from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family, whether it's a birthday, a wedding anniversary, whatever it is you're celebrating, even life. From all of us here on this platform, we celebrate it with you today. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those who are mourning the loss of a loved one. I got some word of a dear friend who's passed away, Miss Cara Gallego. Dear friend to the family, my thoughts and prayers go out to that family, Mr. Lambert and Deborah Gallego's daughter. From my family to yours, our thoughts and prayers are with you through this difficult time. She was such a sweet, sweet person. That took me for 6 last night when I got that after the show. So I must personally just say, you know, my sincere condolences to the family of the Gallegos and the Bodden family as you navigate this time, this difficult time. Jimbo is in the house. Good evening. How are you? Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here as usual. Marshall is also here. North Carolina love. Live Happy is also joining us this evening. Hello, one and all. Damian Henry, good evening. Let's see what you got for us today. Oh gosh, I got Connie Bonnie stuff too. Boy, am I getting. I guess we'll need a production team at the rate things going, but it's good. All good. We're gonna get there. One thing with y'all are patient. You're patient with me. Thank God you are like that. Because when we get started, we're gonna go. Yes. What are you saying? Goals are the fuel in the furance of achievement. In the end, we only regret the chance we didn't take. That's true. Any chance you didn't take, those are the regrets. That's why you live your life without any regrets. And even if you fall down, you get back up, skin off your knees. Sometimes it's preparing you for the next phase that you're more resilient. Because trust me, we don't have a crystal ball to know what's around the bend. Not a one bit. Beautiful Lies, Ugly Truth. Hello to you. It's been a minute. How are you? Welcome back. You've been silent, or how you been catching up? I remember you guys. Yes, Connie Bonnie is also in the house, and so is Miss Dawn. Miss Connie is sending her flowers of the day today. Yes. Connie is saying these are her flowers of the day for today. Ooh, look at there. This woman and her orchids. OMG. Thank you for sharing those, our loyal friends and everybody helping me to have content. Yes, we ain't short of it. Thank you so much, Dawn, as well, for all that you guys do here. Good evening to you, my sweet Aliano. Good evening to you. How's things going with you? How's that foot going? We still got a APB out for that girlfriend. Gotta find out who she is if it's the last thing I do. Mr. Chisholm, good evening to you as well. It's good to have you here. Yes, Marshall. Yes, Marshall is sharing his condolences to Mr. Lambert and Deborah and the entire family. Yeah, I heard that last night after the show. And when something stuns you, yeah, you just you stop in your tracks and you really look at how fragile life is. And so, yeah, Marshall, I know that one would get you. Yep. So we all know your hands in the house, not a soul. You too bad after yesterday. You are something else, but it's good to have you here nevertheless. Now, I want to remind people, yes, the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage, got to do that. Yes, celebrating the story of who we are as Caymanians, reminding you of this gospel concert that is taking place on Saturday, May the 2nd. Yes, and that's going to take place at the agricultural grounds from 6:30 until 10. Now, it's free of charge. There will be a headliner coming in, and that's Miss Tasha Cobbs Leonard, along with other Cayman Islands folk singers and local groups as well will be participating in this local event. This is all a part of us celebrating who we are for the month of May. And also, I got the image here for a church service. And this is also going to take place then on Sunday, the 3rd of May from 11. That's at the John Gray Memorial Church in West Bay. This is our National Day. Join us for a special church service in observation of Heritage Month. The entire month of May will be dedicated to our heritage, and that's compliments of our government as we're celebrating the story of who we are as Caymanians. So as we get these images and get the information and more interviews to let you know what's in store for the entire month of May, we will definitely be sharing those with you. And also, don't forget this huge yard sale that's going on. Sunday. Yes, Sunday. This Sunday, April 26th from 9 until 3. Let's hope that everything is gone by 1 so that there's nothing left. But where have you gone to a yard sale and actually can say you got something for 10 cents or make a fair offer? What the heck? Yeah, well, this location is at 349 Austin Conley Drive on the land side. So if you want to go out east and take advantage of this and get all these bargains from household items, kitchenware and grilling, home decor, clothing, footwear, and so much more. They couldn't hold on this flyer of how much there you can take. So, hey, it's not too late. You could find some good Christmas decorations as well. And maybe you're in for a read. Maybe there's a book there that you never know. Yeah, you know what? You got to go look for it yourself. Go down to 349 Austin Conley Drive on the land side, across from Ocean Frontiers, and take advantage of all that is happening there. Yep. So there you have it. That's our housekeeping. Please remember, we're breaking down, for those of you just joining us, welcome one and all. We're breaking down the Caymanian Protection Temporary Work Permits and Business Work Permits Amendment Regulations 2026 this afternoon. And even though this one is a short one, it is technical, and they are quite easy to miss if you're really not paying attention. And then we'll transition, and then we'll break down line by line, literally, the Caymanian Protection Fees Regulations, which is a lot more, but they matter because they tie in our work permit system into the wider immigration reform that's coming into force. If you've missed the memo, that's now coming into force on the 1st of May. 345-936-8255 is the number to call in. You feel free to WhatsApp as well into this segment here as we just keep it real with you. Let me upload these. Let me upload these for us so that we can, is this the one? Nope. I want to make sure I get you the right one. We're going to do a number of them, so just bear with me. I want to upload it so that I can show it to you on the screen as I go along here with you this evening. Let's remove that so that we have them here. I want to make sure that you follow along with me. That's always making sense. There we go. Yeah, so it's the middle boy. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. All I ask for you, if you have any questions or concerns, you just do it in below, or call in and ask it here. If there's something that you miss, I will do my best to break these down as layman as I can. If it may sound repetitive, it's probably you're not paying attention, because a lot of the fees that I'm going to go through, including the other one, it's quite repetitive with the numbers. So you got to be paying attention. But the good thing about podcasting is that you can always go back, slow it down if there's something that you miss after we finish. And that's the one good thing. And hey, you can always question me the next episode if you want. Of course, anytime. So what I'm going to be going in now is just we're going to start to talk about this temporary work permits and the business visitors work permits amendment. Yes, I've had to do my notes because there's a lot and I don't want to miss out anything. Just let me shut this up for a little bit. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything to let you know. So it's good for me to just have it in consolidated format. It's good to have you all here with me this evening. Yes, Miss Dorothy, how are you? Welcome. And Emma is also in the house with us this evening. Thank you for joining us. Denver, what you say? Oh, somebody shared an article with me, but Denver's comment is, our governor trying to remove our Caymanian Sharon Roldstone? Question. Tomorrow's open mic. Maybe I can dig more into that to see what that is, Mr. Denver. But for now, we are going to put and focus our attention on the Caymanian Protection Temporary Work Permits and Business Visitors Work Permit Amendment Regulations 2026, and what the government is putting into effect and rolling out as of the 1st. So that is what it is. And this is being rolled out as a part of their reform. And you know how the debates went through the House. And it is in a coordinated sequence if you see how the regulations are. Now, this is one piece of the regulations, as I alluded to earlier on, of a larger puzzle. Instead of having just one big document, there are different regulations that targets different things, which is why you got to be careful, because if you don't understand it, you could be looking at a different regulation, even a different piece of legislation, and it doesn't make sense based on what you're being told. So the good thing is we're going to break it down for you here. As I'm speaking about the various sections, I will do my best. You'll have to zoom in if you're on a smart device to go and see what it really says. But how I will be producing this to you or delivering this to you is in layman's terms in a consolidated format, but it can still correlate if you actually get the opportunity to pick it up in hard copy for yourself or in a digitalized format. It'll be easy to follow along from that perspective. So as we said, this particular amendment on its own is a part of a larger puzzle. It is one of the shorter ones, I'll be honest with you, because we're going to get into one that's big, that is bigger. So we see where updating the name we're going to go straight into section 2 of this, where it says, this is really that's existing 2024 regulation that it replaces some of the words into the immigration transition and protection. So we're changing all it's tidying up. So government right now, and we said this even when we saw the draft bill, they're rebranding and restructuring immigration framework. Now, anywhere into other old regulations referred to as the immigration transition, they will now have under the new Caymanian protection umbrella. So you'd be seeing all of that. And the reason for this is because it all aligns with the temporary work permit rules, as we're saying here, with the new Caymanian Protection Act and the border reform effort as well. And in layman's terms, exactly what this is doing, it's a housekeeping change and a very important one. So like I said, for legal consistencies, right? For legal consistencies is what we're doing here. And what we're doing here as well in this section 3 is that this section updates the fee references in Regulation 7 of the 2024 rules. Now, the key changes here in the first paragraph is that the old reference to, again, immigration regulations of 2019 revision is hereby replaced by the new Caymanian Protection Fees Regulations 2026. And we see then in paragraph 2, the old reference of Schedule 1, referring to 2019 regulations, that has been replaced, my friends, with the new fee schedule under 2026 fee regulations. So again, all fees for temporary work permits and business visitors work permits will now be governed by the new 2026 fee structure and not the old 2019 one. And the reason why this is important is because the new 2026 fee regulations consolidates and modernize immigration fees for the first time in more than 15 years. And what this amendment ensures is that temporary work permits and business visitors work permits are billed under the new updated system, which we will go into that one in a few moments. So what this particular piece, which is a shortened piece because that ends it right there, this amendment may look small on paper, but let me tell you something. They're a major part, like I said at the beginning, of modernizing Cayman's immigration framework as presented, okay? And aligns names, fees, and preparing the system for a more structured and its aim for a more transparent approach to how temporary workers and business visitors are processed. And you can see here at the bottom of the screen where this was made in Cabinet on April 15, 2026. And this is one of many steps towards this administration aim and goal at being more efficient and sustainable with our immigration system. Okay. So what we're going to do, that pretty much ends it for that piece, because what we're going to do with the bigger one now, that is the regulations. No, not that one. This one. Yeah. This one big. This one's big. So, yeah. This one now, and again, beautiful lies, ugly truth. Welcome, welcome. Good evening, Annie. How you doing? when you take a deep look into it, all work permits are actually temporary, though some may be longer than others. Just a thought. You're spinning it there, but that's quite profound. And yeah, because they are temporary. Just some are short temporaries, some are long temporaries. Beautiful lies, ugly truth. That's the truth there today. Yes. So let's take a time. I need you to go and get your drink. I hope you've watered your plants and all that sort of stuff, because this I'll have to definitely take my time, because this one is pretty big. Okay. Like I said, if you want to weigh in on the conversation, please feel free to give me a call, 345-936-8255. But please, I beg you to keep it in the context of what we're talking about so that it's relatable. Okay. Now we're going to take our attention off of that, and you can see where that first regulation ties into exactly this one. This one meaning the Cayman protection fees, especially where it talks about the work permits, okay? And dealing with work permits, temporary work permits, business visitors. The fee schedules are huge. They're technical. And because of all of that, I decided to do this one today, just in case it spills over into tomorrow. So we've already gone through, like I said, the business visitors one. We're going to go and look now. This one is a full fee structure. This is the part that determines what employers pay, what workers pay, who is exempt from the system, that the system even treats a little differently, and you'll understand what she's talking about at the very end. Yes, sectors of our economy are treated a little differently under this piece of regulation. Now, this is not light reading. I'm going to be very honest with you if you're not accustomed to legalese or legislation. It is not even, I would say, entertainment, because this is coming into effect. It's going to impact small, medium, micro business, and even individuals with how they want to appeal, how they apply for various work permits, applications in general, residency. This is going to impact everyone, but it's real life. It is something that we've asked for years. And in many cases, a lot of these fees, based on consultation and feedback, could have been upped a little more. And why? Because it affects jobs, businesses, families, and even the cost of doing business right here in Cayman. So I want to ask your patience. This one is a long piece. It's dense, it's detailed, but we're going to get it done. If it goes into next week, not just this one, the combination of all of them. And I'm going to do my best to just deliver it as we normally do here. But I want to remind persons that, yes, today's episode is brought to you by Bridgepoint Immigration Consulting, opening this May, 25 years of trusted experience in Cayman immigration system. Built on honesty, integrity, and guidance you can rely on. Bridgepoint Immigration Consulting, your bridge to what's next. Yes, yes, yes. Now let's go straight into the categories, which is the backbone of this whole piece of legislation here, okay? And what we actually seeing here is that there are these, what you're seeing here in category A, these are the standard immigration fees that apply to everywhere in the Cayman Islands, no matter which island, whether Little Cayman or Cayman Brac, okay? So whether it's East End, West Bay, Blossom Village, doesn't matter. The general fees are the same in this section. And this too fits into the big system. So what we will do is that we will actually go through this. It sets out, this section sets out different pathways through which someone can obtain different pathways for status and the fees that are attached to each stage. And what we're seeing is that Some pathways are also involving applications, some involve grants, and some, especially those based on entitlement or descent, are carrying a nil fee. Yes, no fees at all. So what we're going to do is here under the right to be Caymanian, as shown here, you're seeing 1.2, and it says here on the top of the screen, right to be Caymanian, right? There is an application fee, as you can see over to the right of your screen, for $1,000. That's the filing fee. And then the approval fee is $1,000. So if someone already qualifies by entitlement, usually through a Caymanian parent, but they didn't complete the process before turning 18, in this particular section, what those fees outline, they must apply then as an adult. Bearing in mind, the Caymanian Status and Permanent Residency Board, a minor, that's any child under the age of 18, does not go to the board. Those are done by acknowledgement. But what this one is specifically talking about is for someone who's reached 18 or over. They must apply as an adult. But in this section, there's a fee to apply and another fee when the status is officially granted. What we're seeing over on 1.3 and 1.4, right to be Caymanian before the age of 18 by entitlement. This application is acknowledgement, and that attracts a fee of $50. And the grant of that approval is now $1,000. So for children under the age of 18 who qualify by entitlement, the process is cheaper to start at just $50 for the filing fee. But the grant itself will now attract a fee of $1,000 Cayman. When you look then at 1.5, acknowledgement by confirmation. This, my friend, is if someone is already a Caymanian by law and simply needs official confirmation, there is no fee. This is essentially an administrative recognition of an existing right. So that under this section, acknowledgement is zero, okay? Zero government fees. So if you go directly to WORC and you make this application on your own, there is no processing fee. If you choose to go through a legal counsel or an agent, do not let them tell you that there comes a fee. If they're telling you government is charging you a fee, they've applied under the wrong section, or that fee is not going to government. So this is acknowledgement by confirmation, and it is outlined under section 1.5 of the regulations. Let's just go on to 1.6 and 1.7. This, my friends, is a whopper because right to be Caymanian by cabinet decision. We know that the boards can recommend persons to actually be recommended by cabinet to make a decision. This now carries a fee, a huge fee. It always did, but it's a bigger one this time. If your application goes to cabinet and cabinet has to opine and make a decision on it, two things you must know. It's not secret. It's not your personal business. It's going to have to be reported on the floor of Parliament. Lest I digress. The application filing fee for this particular application that goes to cabinet is now going to be a filing fee of $1,000. And if it is approved by cabinet, it will attract a fee of 10,000 CI dollars. So let me make it plain. This is one of the most significant and expensive pathways
When someone applies directly to the cabinet for Caymanian status, which we know they have limited amounts per calendar year, which I'm understanding it is talks that they probably want to expand those grants. It making sense now? It making sense now? You got $10,000. You may not want to limit it to only 3 or 4 a year. You may want to expand it a little bit more. What is priority to you, Caymanians? Weigh in on that. Because if you see something coming that says they want to expand the amount of Caymanian status that can be granted through cabinet, then you have to wonder whether or not the fees would have made sense, whether it's really there to protect. But let's not take away from the facts. The fact is, this now, my friend, will cost anyone who's approved a cabinet grant status, right to be Caymanian, $10,000. Continuing under the right to be Caymanian, but under point 18 and 19. This is on the grounds of descent. We see where if you had a parent, a grandparent or a parent, you were over the age of 18 and you could prove that, and you could go then after the age of 18, had to go to the board because you were living in another country. Remember, this brought a big discussion topic here on the Sabrina Speaks. That would have attracted a filing fee and still an approval fee under the current law. The law now that it's going to come in effect as of May 1st, there is no filing fee. And if it's granted, there's no fee as well. So if you qualified because you were born to a Caymanian parent and the law recognizes that connection by way of your supporting documents, there is no fee to apply and no fee to receive the grant. This pathway, they're saying, is rooted in heritage. And because of that, this process is then free. Okay? 1.10 and 11. This is by grounds of naturalization. We're seeing now where this section applies to people who have already become naturalized, who have become British overseas citizens, BOTC, as you hear the acronym, by naturalization, and they want to take that next step to become Caymanian. This now is $1,000 to file the application, and once granted, it will then now take a fee of $5,000 once and if approved. So where this used to be, I think, $250 filing fee, the filing fee now has been upped to $1,000. And once granted, it's now going to attract a $5,000 fee. We look at 12 and 13 of part 1. This is referring to the right to be Caymanian through marriage or civil partnership. So if someone is married to or is a civil partner or in a civil partnership relationship with a Caymanian, they can now apply for Caymanian status through that relationship, okay? And the application fee now will cost them $500. And if approved, the fee has increased by 100%, and it's now attracting a fee of $2,000. So, right to be Caymanian through marriage or a civil partnership, the application fee is $500, and the grant fee is now $2,000 if it is approved. Part 1, 14 and 15 refers to the surviving spouse or a civil partner of a Caymanian. We're seeing now where the fees for this is now attracting an application fee of $250. And if it is approved as a surviving spouse or civil partner of a Caymanian, this is now going to be an approval fee of $1,000, which remains unchanged, okay? So if a Caymanian passes away, their surviving spouse or civil partner may still qualify for Caymanian status. And these fees are lower than the standard marriage route, reflecting the unique, unfortunate circumstances, okay? So, Johan, do not take that out of context because you just popped into my mind.
But yes, the filing fee for a surviving spouse or civil partner of a Caymanian, the application fee is now $250 and the approval fee is $1,000. What we're seeing still continuing under this 16, I got to keep up here, under 16, annual declarations for persons who are granted status under this section 28(6)(a). Once you're granted status now, you have to still do an annual declaration. And so you got to pay a fee for that now. Yes. Individuals who receive Caymanian status under specific provisions must now file an annual declaration to confirm that they still meet the requirements that were in place when their application was approved. And that filing fee, not an approval fee because it's already been approved, that filing fee for that now will be $100 each year. Now, we can dissect this further into our discussions for how long this goes on for. I'm quite sure it'll come up, but I'm just trying to go through this as quickly as possible so that you know. Now, anyone who's already married and their application is in process, under any of these sections that you're hearing me going to be talking about today, these does not apply because you are preserved under this system. What I'm reading now is only going to come in force as of the 1st of May. So just let me make that clear, okay? If your applications for what has been actually released by the government is being processed, you are still grandfathered in, and these new fees will not impact you based on what is out there. So what we're hearing here is the fees for becoming Caymanian depend heavily on how you qualify, with some routes costing nothing at all, and others, as you can see, are reflecting the complexity or even discretion may be involved as well. And what really matters most is really understanding which pathway may specifically apply to you, because we see how much sections under Right to be Caymanian one could apply for. Do you meet the requirements is the key. Let's move on now to the other section of this. And this part 2 is actually recognizes every specific and sensitive situation. Yes, this, my friends, is recognizing when Caymanians pass away, their surviving spouse or civil partner may still be, they may need stability, legal clarity or certainty, and even the ability to remain on the island. So what this section is saying is that the law provides a pathway for that as well. And this part of the schedule sets out those fees specifically, as you can see here, when it comes now to permanent residence, okay? So what we're seeing here in the first line, 2.1, that is application for residence and employment rights certificate, RERC. Now, this is a fee to apply for permanent residence as the surviving spouse or the civil partner of a Caymanian. And this, my friends, is the first step to process a relatively modest fee compared to the other PR categories, because this one is $300. Now, you may say, but you said that you could apply for status. Under the criteria for applying for the right to be Caymanian in the event your spouse or civil partner passes hinges largely on how long the marriage was celebrated before their death. So you may not have met that minimum threshold in order to apply for the right to be Caymanian status, should your Caymanian spouse, civil partner pass, if your marriage was not long enough to be able to go straight for Caymanian status upon the death of that Caymanian. Maybe the only thing you are entitled to is to apply for the surviving spouse of a deceased Caymanian. And if that is the case, because your marriage wasn't long enough to go straight for status when that Caymanian dies, you may only be entitled to continuation, but in this case, residency as the surviving spouse of a deceased Caymanian. Now, let me let you know this. If you find yourself in that position and you're just on a RERC, spouse of a Caymanian, and your spouse or civil partner dies, there is a time that you need to report that death to WORC. If you fail to report the death, you're in breach of the conditions of the one that you were granted when your Caymanian was alive. So you are at risk of breaking the law, having it lost, and overstaying and working without a work permit, which could cause some serious reputational and immigrational damage to your immigration title. We understand that you have just gone through a loss. We understand that. But bearing in mind that there is a reporting phase because your immigration status would have changed, that you need to report that to WORC. And if this is the case, and you then need to qualify as the surviving spouse of a Caymanian or a civil partner of a Caymanian, that application is now attracting a fee of $300. We see where section 2 of 2, this is called the issue fee for the grant of an RERC. Now, what we're seeing here is that these fees varies based on the applicant's income. So what we're seeing is like a sliding scale based on what your income is. Now, this is where the system becomes income tiered, as they've described it pretty much. And the idea is fairly simple. The higher your income, the higher the approval fee. Some actually said, Miss Sabrina, they're penalizing me for making a decent income. I just here to deliver it for you. So if you are making $20,000 or less, the approval fee is $500. If it's $20,001 to $40,000, your approval fee then will be $1,250. If it's $40,001 to $60,000 a year, then it's $2,500 for the approval fee. If you're making an income of $60,001 to $80,000 a year, then it's $3,750. Likewise, if it goes up to $80,001 to over to $100,000, then it's an approval fee of $5,000. If it's $100,001 to $150,000 a year, then your approval fee is $9,000. $150,000 and above then reflects a fee of $12,500. So even though the filing fee is $300, once the application is approved, the cost to receive the certificate, as you hear here, will depend on how much the applicant's income is, how much their earning is. And we see, based on those fees, the lower income applicants pays less, and the higher income applicant will definitely pay more. So, hence we said it at the beginning. This is a sliding scale that is designed to keep the process accessible while still reflecting financial capacity. Now, I think somebody asked, does it matter where the income is derived? It doesn't. There's no ambiguity here. It is straight as it is. They're going to ask you for your proof of income. They're hoping that you're honest, and based on knowing this tier system, that you will actually report the truth. So they can go as far as asking for bank statements to prove what your income statements are. So this is something to be aware of. Continuing under section 2, subsection 3, that's still on the screen, almost to the bottom. These are issue fee for dependents, okay? What we see here, if the surviving spouse includes children other than dependents in the application or adds them at a later time, there is a $400 fee for each dependent, okay? So there is a $400 fee for each dependent. So that's if the surviving spouse includes children or dependents in the application or add them after the fact, there is a $400 fee for each dependent that will be applicable. Still here on the screen, but almost to the bottom, if you're zoomed in, you see where 2.4 shows annual fees for dependents. Now, this is the annual fee that's charged for each dependent, included on the RERC. And the amount depends, yet again, on the work permit fee that would apply to the mean holder. Okay, so the mean applicant. So let's break it down. If the holder's work permit fee, let's say, is $2,100 or less, then it's $350 per dependent. Similar tiered system. If it would be between $2,001 and $10,400, then the dependent fee would be $525 per dependent. Now, if it would be more than the work permit fee now, would be more than $10,400, then it would be 750 Cayman dollars per dependent. Okay? All fees quoted here are in CI currency. So every year, dependents carry an additional cost, and that cost scales with the type of work the main holder does. So higher earning or higher skilled roles typically attract higher work permit fees, right? So dependent fees rises accordingly as well. All right. Now we move to 2.5. An application to vary, a variation, an amendment, a RERC. If the surviving spouse needs to change something on their certificate, for example, adding a new dependent or updating circumstances, the variation costs are now $500. So the filing fee in that section now is straightforward. It attracts a fee of $500. Second line to the top of the screen, where the RERC fee, where the surviving spouse has not remarried to a non-Caymanian, there is nil. So let me just break that down. If the surviving spouse has not remarried a non-Caymanian, there is no ongoing RERC fee. So this is a recognition of their continued connection to the Caymanian family unit. Okay? But if they go now, if they have not remarried a non-Caymanian, if they married a Caymanian, they don't have to do anything. You understand? You get it? So for the surviving spouses, the system is designed to provide stability. That is what it is aimed for, while still applying a fair income-based fee structure is what they're trying to do here. And what we need to take away here is that the initial application is quite modest, but the grant fees are based on income, and the amount of dependents carry their own annual cost as well. So that's something to be aware of. Let's go straight down now to explain section 3, that it says permanent resident 8 years. I know I want to hear about this. Yes. This is one of the most well-known pathways to permanent residence. And yeah, it is the 8-year route. And what this section here, because we're focusing on the fees, government income that is derived from this. This section, my friends, will apply to people who have lived in the Cayman Islands legal and ordinary resident for at least 8 consecutive years. And what this section in section 3, it sets out all the fees for applying
the fees of being granted the certificate and even ongoing annual obligations that comes as conditions once they're approved. Okay, so follow with me. On the very top line, that gray one up there, 3.1, this now, the application fees here depends on the work permit fee. And that would apply to the applicant's occupation that is declared. Normally, and by law, anyone who's applying for an 8-year permanent residence, your job title remains one and same as on your last issued work permit or the work permit that you're on at the time you're submitted. Even if by chance you have a pending work permit amendment to your job title, as long as the decision is not made and you apply for the 8-year PR, the job title declared on that PR application for being here on the grounds of residence must reflect the last issued work permit and the job title that is declared on that. So if the work permit fee would be, for example, $2,100 or less, those are like your carpenters, your masons, your roofers, that sort of stuff that attract that $2,100 work permit fee, or less, then we see where that would be $1,500. If it would be between $2,001 and $10,400, then it would attract a filing fee of $2,500. If it would be more than $10,400, then you would see a $5,000 fee. So the cost to apply, those 3 fees that I just quoted there, are just the submission fee. There is no longer just one fee for all job titles once you're applying for the PR 8-year. The cost applies to apply for this now is based on the job title that you hold. So it's either going to attract a filing fee of $1,500, $2,500, or $5,000 just to submit the application. So they just pay more the higher the occupation is, okay? Under 3 subsection 2, as I continue here, the issue fee for these 8-year permanent residents, again, once approved, the fees to receive the RERC is based again on income. Quite similar to the tier system that we're seeing. It's called a sliding scale system. The lower income earners pay less, higher income earners will pay more. And it is designed to keep the PR accessible while still reflecting the financial capacity. And those fees range from $500 to as much as $12,500. Again, $20,000 or less, $500. $20,001 to $40,000, $1,250. $40,000 to $60,000, $2,500. $60,000 to $80,000, $3,750. And you got it going up to as much as $100,000, $5,000, $150,000 max, $9,000, $150 and above salary per year. Then your approval fee then will be $12,500. Okay. Again, it is a sliding scale system. 3, subsection 3 goes and talks again about dependents. And here you would have $400 per dependent. So if you're including children or other dependents on your PR application or add them later, there is a $400 fee for each one. Okay. If you include children or other dependents in your PR application, or even adding them later, there is a $400 fee. Going right along, the annual fee again. This section also carries that based on the work permit fees that the main holder holds. So again, 2001 income, $350 per dependent. 2,100 to 10,400, $525 per dependent. And if you would be more than 10,400, that would attract a $750 per dependent. So every year again in this section, dependents will cost an additional annual fee
And the amount here, again, rises with the type of job the mean holder, the mean applicant, the mean holder of the application actually makes. What we see here now, continuing in 3.5, I have to go over, which is very short somewhat, is that application to vary, to amend a RERC, that is now, if you have to change something on your certificate, such as adding a dependent, updating your occupation, or anything of the sort, then the variation fee that applies to that process is $500. That's what that bottom, the very last line here is referring to. So any variation, any amendments, that's what that is for. We see where 3.6, annual fees for PR holders, except those exempted. We could get into that. Now, what we see here, that fees varied based on the annual work permit fees for the same occupations, right? For most PR holders or their employers, they must pay an annual fee that's equal to the work permit fee of their job title that they hold, as I alluded to earlier. And what happens here is that this fee is due every year on the anniversary of the certificate, not the date the approval letter is dated. It is the round stamp date or the date printed under the signature of the secretary, WORC, or the chairman, or whoever signs them nowadays. That is the date of your anniversary. Do not confuse the two, because sometimes you go based on the date that you receive, based on the date that you pay it. I'm here to make it abundantly clear. Your anniversary date is the date that is on the certificate. That is your anniversary date, okay? What we also see in 3.7 is that the filing fee for annual declarations now for each year is CI $250. So permanent residents must file an annual declaration confirming that they are still meeting the conditions and the requirements as outlined in their approval. And in doing that on the anniversary date, that attracts a fee of $250. So if you want to know the date, go and look once it's issued on the anniversary date with that certificate, not the date of the letter, the certificate. The date that's on the certificate is your anniversary date. We go down to 3.8. There are some exemptions, and we spoke largely on that during the draft and the public consultations. Now, we see where a certain group of people do not have to pay annual PR fees. And this section here in the regulation breaks that down very clear. If you are the spouse or civil partner of a Caymanian, no fee. If you're the surviving spouse or a civil partner of a Caymanian who has not married a non-Caymanian, no fee. If you're a contracted government employees, no fee. If you're a person granted asylum, there's no fee. If you're employees of the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, there is no fee. 1 second, caller. Employees of non-profit organizations, no fee. Employees of Health Services Authority, no fee. Employees of the University College of the Cayman Islands, no fee. These groups are fully exempted from the annual PR fees because of their roles, their status, or their public interest functions. Now, there are some things very important to note, that if your certificate lists more than one occupation, because sometimes we see that, you may pay a fee for the highest fee that whatever that occupation is attracting, right? And what we notice is that if you switch to a job with a higher fee, you will pay the difference until your next anniversary date. If you switch to a job with a higher fee, you pay the difference until your next anniversary date. And then after that, you will pay the full fee for the new occupation, right? If your PR application is also refused, this is good to know. All fees except the application fee, the filing fee, is refunded. So all those fees that you hear me said before, you have to pay those upfront upon submission. But if it is refused, the only thing you will not get back is the filing fee. So you don't lose everything. The only thing that you lose is the application fee, because that is non-refundable. So the 8-year route to permanent residence, as you can see here, comes with a tiered system. And we see where the application fees are based on job title, a grant fee based on income, and your annual obligations, unless you fall into one of those exempted categories that I just read out. It is detailed. This is a detailed framework. But once you get it, I swear, once you understand the logic behind it, it becomes much easier to navigate. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening. Just a quick question, because I tuned in kind of late. Did you say there was a salary there for 3,100
No, based on the
when you were giving out?
based on your salary
when you were
income,
giving
it
out.
could have attracted a fee of 3,100. It all depends on what your salary is. They had a range.
Okay,
It's a
okay.
range. It's a sliding scale.
Yeah, okay then. Oh, because I was saying that salary base doesn't line up with that would be way below the minimum wage.
Mhm.
So,
No.
but you're saying that's just a filing fee?
That's
Yeah, okay. I
yeah. No,
understand.
it's based on your income. Based on your income.
Yeah, okay. Then the income obviously would have to be higher than
Correct.
higher than
It
that
falls between
3,000,
a
right?
range.
Yeah,
Yeah.
based on minimum wage.
Correct.
Yeah, okay then. All right then.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
as we continue here, we move into section 4, and that is reflected under this provision as 37 and 22, subsection 22. And what we will be looking at here is at a smaller but important section. It's very short. And what happens when someone who holds permanent residence need to make a change but do not have residence and employment rights certificate or RERC. Now, what's Sabrina talking about? This applies to a specific group of permanent residents is what I'm talking about. And those who have PR status without the right to work attached to it. Now, this may still need to update their status, for example, to add even a dependent. But this section sets out the fees for those variations, okay? So just to not get you confused. This now will attract a $500 fee. So if a permanent resident who did not at the time of grant hold the right to work needs to change something on that PR, such as updating their personal details or even adding a new family member or something like that, the application to make any of those changes now under subsection 4.1 will cost $500. Okay, this is an administrative fee for processing the variation. Now you see we're down on that on the 4.2. It says the issue fee for adding a dependent. Here we go. We see the magic 400 again. It'll be 400 per dependent. So if the variation involves adding a dependent, such as a child or another qualifying family member, remember, dependent does not just restrict to a child or children. You could have a spouse, a parent, a grandparent, even a stepchild. Yes, that is defined under dependents. You can break it down. That's why this is so clear. Such as a child or another qualifying family member. That's interesting for you to know. There is a $400 fee for each dependent added is what I want to actually make clear here. Because what this is that it mirrors the dependent related fees in other permanent residence categories. And in that way, they keep it consistent here in this section 4. So even if a permanent resident doesn't hold RERC, in case you missed it, they can still update their status. And the fees are straightforward. $500 for the variation or $400 for each dependent added. And those dependents can vary based on, like I said, from a child, children, spouse, stepchild, you understand, or even a parent or parents. So just get that clear. Now, let's look into another important pathway here as we continue down this screen, where we are talking now about permanent residence for spouse or civil partners or someone who already holds permanent residence. What this actual section says is that it recognizes families, they need stability too, whether or not you agree or not. So if one partner has PR and the other needs the right to live and work here as well, this section, my friends, sets out the fees for applying, being granted that certificate and maintaining it as well over time. So follow along with me, and we are on section 5. If you're just joining us, welcome to Sabrina Speaks. This section 537, is referring to RERC, spouse or civil partner of a PR holder. And this is the fee to apply for residence and employment rights as a spouse or, like I said, civil partner of permanent residence. And what it is, it's the first step for one of the more affordable application fees in the PR system. And what section 2 says is that once the application is approved, the fee to receive the certificate largely depends on the applicant's income yet again. And we see that taking on the same approach. Income of $20,500, and then it goes down to $12,000, $1,250, $2,500, $3,750. These are the approval fees. $5,000, $9,000, and if you have a salary above $150,000 a year, that's going to attract an approval fee of $12,500. So just like the other PR categories, the grant fee is income tiered. And lower income earners will pay, again, reflective as what we've discussed before. Higher income earners will pay more. And again, it's a sliding scale designed to keep the process fair and definitely accessible to all. Still on the screen, we have a section here that says application to vary RERC. And you will see to the far right of your screen, a fee of $500. Yes. If the spouse or civil partner needs to update their certificate, for example, to add a dependent or change personal details, the variation application fee then is now $500. Okay? And that is what that is reflecting there. So based on, those annual fees, every year, the holder must pay an annual fee equivalent to the work permit fee for the occupation they're working in. And one thing you can't say is that they're not mirroring it. They are mirroring everything that we see here. Okay? So what we're seeing now is this other section now as section 6. Yes. More familiar what we're seeing in this section and widely used categories that we're seeing here in the immigration system, and a lot of them are talked about. And this is the Residence Employment Rights Certificate for the spouse or civil partner of a Caymanian. This is the one that y'all say we've given away and it's convenience and all that sort of stuff. This category is designed to support Caymanian families, and it is the whole purpose of it was to give their spouses and civil partners the right to live and work in the islands. Now, when you compare to other categories, the fees here are internationally modest, reflecting some strong family-based connections. So let's dig into section 6, 1 to 5. Follow along with me. All of the fees that you see on the right of your screen will be the fees that's applicable to what I'm saying, okay? So the first line you see is that whether someone is applying for the first time or renewing their certificate, the application fee is $300. Now, this is one of the lowest application fees from what I can see here right now in the immigration system. and you go down to section 2, which goes up by 100, once the application is approved, the cost to receive the certificate is $400. Again, this is internationally low to support Caymanian households. That was what they're envisaging. Okay? We're seeing where the issue fee for dependents, under section 3, if the spouse or civil partner includes child or children or any even other dependents, the application fee or the application adds them later. There is a $400 fee for each dependent. Yet again, mirroring the dependent fees in other RERC and PR categories that we addressed earlier on. Now we continue when we look at section 6.4. To vary it is now going to be a $500 fee. So if the certificate needs to be updated, for example, adding a new dependent or changing personal details or even adjusting the employment information, that is going to cost you $500. Section 5, again, an annual declaration for this section. So holders of this certificate each year must file an annual declaration confirming that they still meet the requirements. And submitting that application on your anniversary date, if you were paying attention, it's the date on the certificate, that's going to attract $100 just for the filing fee. Please note, that's a non-refundable processing fee, okay? Please, my friends, there is no annual residence and employment rights certificate fee for spouses or civil partners of a Caymanian. You need to be wary of that, okay? Unlike most of the other RERCs and PR categories, where there is no yearly fee tied to occupation or income for this category. So this is a major benefit of this category to, again, reflect the priority placed on keeping Caymanian families together, even though some of you are arguing that it's not fair and the good ones are being penalized. I swear the conversations are split down the middle. So under this section 6, my friends, for spouses and civil partners of Caymanian, the system is internationally supportive, what we're seeing them trying to do here. And in doing so, the low application fees, modest issue fees, and annual RERC fee, that actually comes with it. The only recurring cost is the annual declaration. And that, my friends, ensures that the certificate keeps up to date. And it's a way of them checking in on you. Yeah. So as we continue to go down here, as time is definitely creeping up, let's look then at what happens to a dependent, usually a child or another qualifying member, that may need their own residence and employment rights certificate because the main applicant already holds it. And this section, as you can see in the middle of the screen, outlines the fees for dependents of RERC, yet again, mirroring the structures used for other RERC categories. So I'll just jump straight to section 1. Again, this fee is $300, and it is for a dependent, often a child, to apply for their own residence and employment rights certificate. Now, it is the same application fee that is used in other family-based categories. All right. 7 subsection 2, we see where this is an issue fee for dependents based on the annual earnings. And again, these fees are reflective. So once an approved, the fee to receive the certificate depends on the dependent's annual income. Or in a case where minors, the earnings of the household. That's huge. Again, those fees reflect $20,000 or less annual income for $500. Then you got the $1,250, $2,500, and it goes all up to $12,500. So just like other RERC categories, the grant fee income is a tiered one yet again. Lower income households would pay less, and higher incomes
will actually pay more. What we're seeing now, almost to the bottom of the screen, is that you have the right to amend, or you call it a variation, to vary a RERC. If the dependent certificate needs to be updated, for example, due to a change in circumstance, the variation application cost is now and will be reflected as $500. At the very bottom of the screen, you will see where it says highlighted as annual RERC, yet again, based on occupation. Now, fees varies tied to the annual work permit fee schedule. And every year that dependent must pay an annual fee that is equal to the work permit fee or even the occupation they are working in. So for example, or for a fact, it's not an example, children are non-working dependents. This typically reflects the occupation then of the household or the authorized occupation on the certificate. This is one of the key ongoing obligations that you need to be aware of. Okay? So what we see here is that if certificates list more than, again, and I have to tell you this because this does happen, if it lists more than one occupation, the annual fee then will be based on the highest fee based on the occupation. So you're not paying two separate fees, one for a mason and one for a night auditor, or one for a bartender, one for a paralegal. No, you would then be paying the paralegal fee and your weekend job as a bartender or whatever you want to do. Sorry if I went there. I don't want to offend anybody because there's nothing wrong with it, but it does happen. You would then be working as a paralegal at day, service industry worker, on the weekends, you would still have to pay the paralegal fee, okay? So just in case you fall within that, and it's no different. You always pay the fee for the job that attracts the higher work permit cost here in that section. So let's continue to go along, and we see where the system adjusts gradually as well. So dependents, to wrap up that section before we go and we tackle section 8, which we're doing pretty good here. Dependents of RERC holders, just to wrap it up. Dependents of RERC holders, the system again mirrors the broader structure just to keep, and it keeps the process consistent. So you're seeing a lot of those fees actually what we've outlined before. So going on to section 8. Now, this moves into one of the most high value categories in the immigration framework. And what I'm talking about is those permanent resident certificate persons being of independent means. And this category, we always hear about, oh, persons married to Caymanian and this and that and that and that. A lot of you don't even understand this section. This category, my friends, is designed for individuals who can support themselves financially without having the need to work here in the Cayman Islands. Now, it is one of the most expensive, let me just say, it's one of the most expensive and exclusive residency routes. And what it is, it's reflecting its purpose because it's attracting high net worth residents who contribute economically without entering the labor work market. Yeah. So what I'm going to talk about now is the persons of independent means. And what we see here, whether someone is applying for the first time or even renewing their certificate, the application fee for these people will now be $500. And this is a non-refundable fee because it's an administration cost to process their application. Now, this is a major cost to this category because there is an issue fee for that certificate. And that certificate will now come with a fee of 50,000 Cayman dollars. Once approved, the applicant must pay CI $50,000 issue fee to receive the residency certificate. Here again, my friends, this reflects the nature of the program because it is designed for individuals with substantial financial resources who wishes to just reside here in our beautiful Cayman Islands without the need of working here. And 8.3 of this section, my friends, refers to dependents. And the applicant includes dependents. If the applicant includes dependents, this could include a spouse, child, or children. There is a 3,000 CI dollar for each dependent added to the certificate. Now that's CI $3,000 per dependent. Going right along as we skip along, the dependent fee then is $3,000 per year. Each dependent also carries an annual fee of CI 3,000. And this, my friends, take note, this is separate from the main holder's obligations and must be paid every year. Almost to the end of this section, we see where filing an annual declaration also applies for this section. And that filing fee is $500. So holders of this certificate must file an annual declaration, and that is confirming that they still meet the financial and residency requirements. And submitting that regulation, it will cost them $500 a year to do that. At the end of this section for independent means, we see a fee sticking out there at $500. Now, this is also a variation. They may have to amend, they may have to adjust. Variation is one and same as amendment so that you can get used to the language being used. So if the certificate needs to be updated, for example, adding a new dependent, changing personal details, the variation application fee will now cost them $500. So residency certificate for persons of independent means is, again, one of the most premium pathways. A $50,000 issue fee plus annual obligations for dependents and yearly declarations. Please note that this is designed for individuals who can fully support themselves without having to enter the workforce, therefore not competing with you and I. And the fee structure, they're hoping now, will reflect that. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? I see Denver commenting there, but I'm just trying to get through this. Good evening to everyone who are just joining us as well. Good to have you joining us here this evening. Let's continue on with this because we see where we move to the second part of this section 8. And this part, my friends, we're talking about the certificate of permanent residence for permanent resident, but this one is, again, high value. And we're looking at 8.7. This application for a certificate of permanent residence. This is, again, only the administrative fee to apply for permanent residence under the route, under this route, and is the same as the one used for several other PR categories. So we're in the B section now, following along. And the issue fee for this is now going to be $200,000, sorry. Again, this is one of the highest immigration fees in the islands, in the Cayman Islands. Because once approved, the applicant must pay $200,000 to receive the certificate of permanent residence. And what this does in this is that it reflects the nature of the program yet again. It is not by chance that I'm repeating myself. I'm repeating it for emphasis because this is what the regulations say. This is designed for individual with substantial financial resources who wish to be here permanently without entering the labor market. And again, yes, $200,000, Connie. If the applicant includes dependents, such as a spouse or children, there is also a $3,000 fee each year for each dependent. Ridiculous, you call that income? You got paid for something. Hey, you got that dump. Let me keep focus here. Behave yourself, behave yourself. The annual dependent fees, again, attracts a $3,000 dependent fee per year. And each dependent also carries, in this section, no different than the others, $3,000. In this section, almost to the bottom, they can also vary their certificate here in this section, where the certificate needs to be updated. Adding it attracts a $500 fee.
and annual declarations under 8 subsection 12. Holders of this certificate must do an annual declaration declared on their certificate, and that is $500 each year. Now, it is very important to note that if the certificate is varied to allow the holder to work, an annual fee, because that is an option, something may happen and they need to work. Let's say they're outside the special economic zone, soon come to that. An annual fee equivalent to the work permit fee for that occupation becomes applicable. You bad, Connie, you picked up, you listening. Now, please note that this certificate does not automatically grant the right to work because of the very same nature of why it was designed. You have been able to demonstrate that your income is derived from a source, be it local or international, that you have qualified under this section, made the necessary property investment, meeting those magic numbers, that you don't have to enter the workforce. But sometimes there are amendments that come along with that you wish to work. There's a provision here that allows you to make an application to vary it, and they may want to work. So they must pay the same then annual fees as the work permit that aligns with that job. And also, if more than one occupation is authorized in that request, the annual fee is just like the other ones that I alluded to earlier on. You would take the higher fee. So you always pay the higher fee for the job that attracts the higher work permit cost. And if the certificate as well is varied to change occupation and the new job attracts, there we go again. You pay only the difference until the next anniversary. So it is prorated almost. And then after that, then you would be applicable to paying the full fee. So the system adjusts gradually and you don't immediately pay the higher fee. It is almost at a prorated base, but when you renew it now the next time, full fees may be applicable. So what we're seeing here is that the certificate of permanent residence for persons of independent means is the most premium long-term residency pathways, and $200,000 issue fee plus an annual obligations for dependents and yearly declaration. If you think that isn't the design, who can fully, for persons who can declare that they can fully support themselves and also contribute economically without having to enter the workforce, despite them still having that ability to actually go there. Yeah, so there you have that, 36 to 47. Let me go here. Yeah. Now we're going to go to the direct investment. Let me see what Andrew's saying here. If they purchase real estate of CI 2 million, does this qualify them for permanent residence? Yeah, it all depends on the one that they are applying for. Independent means, Andrew, each section has a different threshold. Denver says, exactly. But as I just pointed out, trust me, investing is not just living here, being somebody, as wealthy people are that we are coming here. They do not mingle with, oh my gosh, here you go. Denver, you something else. But I don't want to digress because I want to deliver this for you. Oh my gosh, husband of mine, I love you, boo. Which one? You got so much of them. Oh my God. Connie, which one? You got so much husbands here you're developing on this platform. Let's go straight on to 36 to 47. Let's go to the direct investment group of people. And I'll do myself to try and catch your side eye because I don't want to feel that I'm missing you out here this evening because that's definitely not me. Let's move into this one. Again, another high economically significant category in the Caymanian protection framework. And this is the category that is classified as direct investment. Now this, okay, all of them. This certificate is designed for individuals who make substantial active investment here in our Cayman Islands business, okay? Key here is business. Now, it is not passive wealth, let me be clear. It is tied to real economic activity, job creation as well, and long-term contribution to the local economy.
Remember when we were talking about this, I said that it says all you have to be is a resident. There's nothing in the regulations that mandated that you had to be Caymanian. That section, this is that section that we were talking about. Remember? Because of that, the fees reflect the scale and seriousness of the program, okay? So we see here under subsection 9, keeping in line with its certificate of direct investment, there's a filing fee of $1,000. So this is the fee that you apply for the certificate, and it will cover the administrative review and the applicant's investment, business involvement, and eligibility. Now, what happens if it is approved? Yes. Once approved, the applicant must pay CI $50,000 issue fee to receive the certificate. This again reflects a high value nature of the program, and the expectation is that the holder is making major ongoing investment here in the Cayman Islands economy. Yes. This section also includes the facility that if they have a dependent or dependents, they can apply either at the beginning or after, and that is $3,000 per dependent. Of course, this section also attracts an annual dependent fee for each dependent, and that too has a $3,000 a year dependent fee. Now, if they have to do an amendment, a variation, have to update their certificate, let's say new dependent, change in personal details, this too has a $500 processing fee. And this section contains 2 other important annual declarations that is covered and outlined here under 9.6. There's an annual fee per dependent and $1,000 per dependent. Now, this is separate from the $3,000 annual dependent fee listed earlier for the other section. This $1,000 fee is specific to the direct investment category and is charged in addition to other dependent related fees. So there is a little change here with this direct investment, okay? And fees varies, again, based on the schedule annual work permit fees, which is, oh my gosh, there's so much. So if the certificate holder is working in the business that they invest in, which is common that they do, they themselves must pay an annual fee equivalent to the work permit fee for that occupation that they're holding. And this aligns the direct investment category with the broader immigration system that they're trying to do. Again, under 9.7 of this at the very bottom, they have to also file an annual declaration, which will then attract a $500 fee each year. And, for their business involvements and their residency requirement meet that need. The same applies here. Should they find themselves in the position with multiple occupations, the annual fee, of course, then will be based on the highest fee. It will attract the highest fee. And again, the system adjusts gradually. If this, let's say the occupation changes and they have to do an amendment, they pay a prorated fee, and then upon the renewal cycle, then they come with the whole fee. So the certificate of direct investment is designed for just serious investors. A $50,000 issue fee annually obligated to tie both dependents and occupations, and the requirement to file yearly declaration. Definitely, it's a high value pathway for those who are definitely actively building and contributing to our Cayman economy. Jimbo says, when it comes to the elites, these numbers mean little to none of them. Want the island for the wealthy? That's where it's heading. I see it clearly. Looking into the future, near future at that. Keep your comments coming, and that's what the space is for. Now, we're going to go into the other part, and I hope I can go this because we're going to have to continue this tomorrow because there's a lot to cover. Let's deal with the special caregivers. Let's turn our attention to that category that supports 2 essential groups of persons in our community.
These are those special caregivers and even our commercial farmhands. You know that that was a new section that was implemented here, right? Denver, behave, you something else, you know. These certificates, my friends, are designed to ensure that the households of vulnerable persons and the agricultural sectors as well have access to workers that they need. And what we see here is that the fees in this sections are internationally modest, yet again, compared to other immigration categories. And this was by design, reflecting the essential nature of their roles. So what we see here in part A, I hope I can, I'm going to make sure we end this section here tonight, okay? What we see here is that the application fee for the grant or a renewal, this certificate covers for domestic helpers, nannies, nurses, and to support family with children, elderly persons, or even those with special needs. And this attracts a fee, whether you're applying for the first time or renewing the certificate. The application is now $150, one of the lowest in the entire immigration system. And what we're also seeing here is that the occupational range, the cost to receive the certificate, yet again, depends on the specific caregiving occupation. Now, that is going to be broken down in 10.4 of this. Sometimes what we will see, I'll go into that section, but I just want you to know that should you have to do a variation of the certificate to a new holder, that is $150. So if the certificate needs to be transferred to a different employer or household, there's a charge for that. They just can't go. There's a variation charge of $150. Remember, I alluded to that in section 10.4, which is now here at the bottom of the screen, very bottom. These are the set fees for the most common caregiver roles. Domestic helper, which is now $250, a nanny, $650, and a nurse for $1,150. So the more specialized or skilled the caregiver role is, it will attract a higher fee, okay? For occupation that is not up there, then you'll have to look at the annual work permit fee for that occupation and then add another $100. May seem a little confusing, right? If the role is not one of the three listed above, the system then uses the standard work permit fee for that job and just add another $100 onto it. Yeah, that's what that is saying. And what we're saying now in part B of this as it pertains to commercial farmhands is that this certificate supports Cayman's agricultural workforce, including farmers and livestock handlers and general farmhands and even farm helpers. And there is a fee for applying for that. Just like special caregivers, the application fee is kept low, again, to support the agricultural sector, and that fee being $150. Now, if it is approved, the certificate will cost $400 to issue or even renew. And that is a flat fee across all the farm-related occupations. So it's not like the special caregiver. This is just $400 straight across the fee, the spectrum for farmhands. So the caregiver and the farmhand certificates are, again, internationally accessible, and it attracts a low application fees, modest issue fees, and the structure recognizes the essential services that these workers provide to families and to our food supply here in the Cayman Islands. And here we go again. It's one of the most community focused parts in this entire schedule when I looked at it, because this is community. Yeah. So that's where you have it. Now you will see where the next section here, which time does not permit me because I'm over, we will go into the residency and substantial business presence tomorrow evening. So I'm deliberately going to stop here because then you know what we're going to cover tomorrow. We're going to cover all of that. We're going to talk about the business plans. You know, that was a whole big reform of that plan. Yeah. I got a little information too from some reliable sources. There's still some, disgruntled people, lots of them there. But again, keeping it focused on the regulations and what these fees mean, and to just go here with you. The special economic zone has actually benefited from this. Yeah, they've benefited from this. But I don't want you to go down a rabbit hole to giving concessions and you don't understand it. I'll give it to you from both sides, the pros, the cons, and the realities of it. So for some of you may think, oh my God, well, we're charging these people extra money. And what's going on here? It looks like everybody needs to be in the special economic zone. Stick a pin. We'll clarify that for you tomorrow. Hopefully we will demystify any false narratives of the intent of what they did here in this very piece of legislation, which is at the very end, and hope that you could see the balance. The good in this case outweighs what you're going to hear for one flat fee for anybody who's in the special economic zone. It has been a pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks here this evening. And for those of you who joined us even late, I want to thank you for joining us, of course. But please, just in case you missed us, there's a yard sale that's going on this Saturday. 26th, Sunday, from 9 until 3. That's out in East End, 349 Austin Conley Drive on the land side. You can see it there for yourself. And we want to make sure that you remember this concert. This free concert is taking place, compliments of the youth, sports, and culture as we continue to celebrate our story, who we are as Caymanian. This is a free concert that is going to be taking place on Saturday, the 2nd of May, and also church service on the Sunday. So as we close this episode this evening, that was proudly sponsored by Bridgepoint Immigration Consulting, that is opening this May, the 25 years of real Caymanian immigration expertise built on honesty, integrity, and guidance you can trust. Bridgepoint, your bridge to what's next. It has been a pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Until tomorrow, love you lots. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for your calls as well. See you tomorrow.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.